Hey, how's it going, guys? Mason here, and today we're going to be doing a video on my level 130 max Death Wizard, showing off his gear sets and everything that he uses. So let's get right into it. A few disclaimers though before the video starts. This video was made August 23rd, 2019, so if anything has changed since then, I'll make sure to put it in the description if this video is outdated. Also, this video is my opinion in what I believe the gear should be, or the gear that you could use, and the gear that I think is the best in the game, or at least close to the best. So let's get right into it. Alright, so going into my first set here, it's my main set, just for like bosses and soloing stuff. Also just good resist, good damage, stuff like that. So I will show off the gear and where I got it from. Also, some alternatives to it. So the first piece of gear here is the Deathlord's Veil of Woe. It's the Malastare hood that you can get from Malastare in Darkmoor Part 3. So that's a very good hood here. You can look at the stats. The stats are basically just overall really solid stats that nothing else really compares to other than the Crocopatra hat. The Crocopatra hat gives really similar stats to this, but I believe it gives less pip chance. And there's also the Deathly Paradox hood or hat, and that's like more damage, more crit, but it doesn't give resist. So if you want a more glass cannon set, then you could use that. But this is definitely for more like boss fights. The robe I use is the Deathlord's Cloak of Woe. There is a better robe. It's the Light Brigade robe from Tennyson in the Xanadu sewers. He's a golden key boss there. But I haven't been able to farm it yet, and I really need to. So if you guys want to, go down to my Twitch and catch me when I'm streaming sometime, and we can farm Tennyson. So yeah, make sure to check out my Twitch down below. Also, this is a good alternative to it. So if you don't have Tennyson's robe, you can still use this one, or the Bone Smasher robe, which you get from Rattlebones Exalted. They're really good options too if you don't have the Tennyson robe. I'm going to put the Tennyson robe up on the screen right now. The Tennyson robe just basically gives less accuracy, and that's it. So moving on to the boots is the Deathly Paradox boots. Pretty much a staple in boots right now is the Paradox boots. They really just overall have the best stats, and you really shouldn't use anything else. You can get these from, I believe his name is Vigilant Sargon in the Husk. He's the first boss in the Husk. And you can get like all the school's boots from it and all the school's hats. So yeah. An alternative though would be the Ancient Persian boots, in my opinion. They give more resist, but everything else is a little lower. Then the wand I use is the Nimbari Praetor Scimitar. You can get this from the Nimbari Horde pack. It's just a solid wand overall, but the Pandemonium wand is just honestly better, just a little bit. It gives 1 extra damage. The only reason why I'm not using it right now is because it's not stitched, and I don't have crowns, so yeah. So yeah, an alternative would be the Pandemonium wand. This gives a really good main cast too. And I guess an alternative to that would be the Kisma's Focus Dagger, which I don't have. This is just the legendary version of it. And yeah, this or the other one gives 18 death damage, gives less crit than the Scimitar and the Pandemonium wand, but it does give more pierce. So if you're going for pierce, it's a good one to go for. The Athame I use is the Mercy of Shadow and Light. It's honestly just a really solid Athame. You can also use the one from Yevgeny in Darkmoor Part 3. That one is like 1 less damage than this, but it gives like around the same stats for everything else, and it gives like 2% accuracy. So if you want to use that one, that's a solid option too, but I use this one for the 1 extra damage. And then I have Sockadin and some Pierce and some accuracy and some health. The amulet I use is the Shadow Queen's Grace. There is an alternative to this. It's the one from Shane Von Shane in Darkmoor Part 2. You can get that one through, I don't think he has a chest though, but you can get it through Shane Von Shane. This one you can get from Morganth in the Shadow Palace. Same thing with this here, Morganth in the Shadow Palace. But yeah, I use this mostly for the Deathblade because it gives 2 Deathblade cards, and the stats are pretty good still for crit and block and resistance. But the other one does have better like Pierce and stuff like that. So if you want to get a little bit better stats and a little bit extra crit, then you can definitely use the other one, but I use this one for the Deathblades mostly. The ring I use is the Ghost Dog's Dire Loop. It's still honestly the best death ring in my opinion. There is the Deathly Paradox ring, which is very similar. It gives a little bit more crit, but it gives less health if you count in the socket, and it gives less incoming. It gives the same amount of damage still. So yeah, you can use either one, but if you have the Ghost Dog's Dire Loop like me, you don't need to get the other one. The pet I use is a Gulcher pet. I use it for the Deathblade and the Feint card, but this one's a triple double. So triple damage, double resist, and then I have Sockadin in a Mighty Jewel. You don't need to have the Mighty Jewel Sockadin in. This is a 2.0 pet, which means it's max stats. So you don't need to have that, but I just like to get 2.0 pets, and that's what I go for. So the mount here is the Balance Gulcher. I would be using the Death Gulcher if I had it, but I've opened up what feels like 1,000 Gulcher Horde packs, and I have still not gotten the Death one. So yeah, I have like copies of all the other ones, like multiple copies of Life, Ice, Fire, all the other schools, but I have not gotten the Death one yet. So yeah, maybe someday, but for like over a year now I've been using this Balance one, so that'll keep being that for now. And if you just have any mount with stats, I would suggest you use that. If not, it's not a big deal. So the deck I use here is the Rasputin's Wicked Hand. I use this one just because it gives the socket for triangle. The triangle socket's always the best in my opinion, so you can put on Power Pip or Shadow Pip or accuracy. But really any rat deck is good. So this deck drops from the rat in Polaris. So it just gives really good stats overall and gives you the extra pip. So now moving on to my stats, what it looks like. If I throw on this real quick, my stats, I have 137 damage to death, 52% resist across the board with some flat resist, 26% accuracy to death, 52% crit rating to death, some block, doesn't really matter, it's pretty irrelevant, armor piercing 18%, and then incoming and outgoing 10% and 21%. Then the pip conversion is pretty nice, 34%. You will see it a good amount. Power pip, 94%, and shadow pip bonus, 7%. So now moving on to the tank sets. I'm going to try to go through this really quickly. The Jade Hood of Mystery, I always get that wrong. Jade Hood of Mystery is definitely the best hood for tanking. There's no really alternative to that, so you can get this from the Keeper's Lore pack. The robe is the Spooky Carnival suit from the Spooky Carnival bundle, which is currently in the Crowns where you buy crowns on Wizard101 website. So yeah, you can get this from there. It gives the Kiss of Death card, which is really good, heals all your teammates, and basically just overall it has really good stats. The Jade Robe is an alternative from the Keeper's Lore pack, but it gives worse stats other than the resist, which it gives 2 extra resist, but everything else is worse in my opinion. The boots is the Mysterious Jade boots. There's no really alternative other than the one from the Battle of the Bands. The one from the Battle of the Bands, though, doesn't really give incoming or outgoing, I believe. And I think this one gives more power pip, too. So I would definitely use the Mysterious Jade boots from the Keeper's Lore pack. The wand I use is the Silver Order of the Spiral, which is also from the Keeper's Lore pack. So it basically is just what you would want in a wand for a Jade. So outgoing and block. And an alternative would be the Teeth of the Lord's Knight, which is from the Shaman's Lore pack, which is actually retired right now. So this one is just the high block wand, so it's really good for blocking. The Athame I use is the same one as my hitting one, but it's a copy of it. It's a Mercy of Shadow and Light for the outgoing, and it has 2 outgoing slots on it, socketed, and it has some life accuracy so that I don't fizzle Pigsy. The amulet I use is an Exalted Life amulet. It's basically just a life mastery, but it gives a few stats too with it. And I got that from Tartarus, from the final boss Hades in Tartarus. An alternative would be Johnnyak's Torque of Deceit, which is just good for resist and block, but you don't get the ability to cast life spells. The ring I use is the Seal of the Fifth Column. It isn't better than the Avalon one, the Stone of the Other Side, but I have the Stone of the Other Side on my life right now, so I didn't trade it over. This one's an alternative though, the Seal of the Fifth Column. Gives more base outgoing, but it doesn't give you the sockets to socket in a 5 outgoing jewel. So I would go for the Stone of the Other Side, which you can get from most of the bosses in Avalon. I think I farmed people in the graveyard area in Avalon. And the pet I use is a Polar Fox. It's basically just a quad ward pet with Proof and Defy, and gives Blade Storm, which is really nice for stacking blades. These are just the best wards to ward against in PVE. The mount I use is a Crystal Unicorn, because Crystal Unicorn just gives good accuracy. Just any stat mount would be good, like Power Pip or something like that. And then the deck I use is actually kind of weird. It's the Irem Gallery of Agony. It's from the, I don't know what boss it drops from. I think it drops from a lot of bosses in Mirage, but you can just straight up get it from the Bazaar. So yeah, that's that. I just use it because it gives some decent copies, gives some good block, and gives some nice pip conversion. But you can also use the rat deck again. So yeah, that's my stats for my Jade set. Here they are right here. Damage doesn't matter, you're jading. I have 89% resist to all the schools that I was warding for, and 75 for the rest. 20% life accuracy, and 8 to the rest. No crit, doesn't matter. Block is 22% across the board, and 25 to death and myth. Which block, you're not going to block too much, but that's okay. Armor piercing, there's none, doesn't matter. And the big one right here is the outgoing. 120% outgoing, 14% incoming. So yeah, that's pretty nice. That's what you're going for, is a lot of outgoing in this set. 89% power pip chance and 2% shadow bonus with 15% pip conversion. So you will see it a little bit. Also another set for my tank set. I don't have it as a setup set here. But if you want to throw on the Teeth of the Lords of Night, if you want to throw on this right here, the Arcanum Exile Claw of Strife, which you can get from Minac in Polaris. Then you throw on the Johnny X Torque of Deceit. And then you throw on one of these rings here for whichever school you're going against, which is from the Sardonyx. It's a craftable ring from the Sardonyx in Chrysalis. So I'm going to throw on the Storm one just for example. Keep the same pet and everything else. And this would be a more tanky setup without outgoing and just tanking to be like resistant to one boss. So I have 112 resistance to Storm with 95 to Fire, Myth, and Death with 81 to the rest. 8% accuracy. And then some crit, doesn't really matter. And then your block here is going to be really high, 53% across the board, and then 65 to Storm, Fire, and Ice. And then your outgoing is going to be suffering a little bit, or a lot actually. You're not going to be really healing. You don't have a life mastery either. So unless you want to pop a Kiss of Death or Sacrifice, you're not going to be healing too much. But here we go for that, 34% and 29%. Then also your pip conversion is going to be 15%, and your power pip is going to be really low, 76% and 2% shadow bonus. If you get a different deck though, or something like this one, you can get your power pip up a little bit. So if you get a rat deck in socket, the triangle pip chance, then you'll be good with that. But I don't really care too much about the power pip because you're normally just casting one pip spells. So yeah. So yeah, that's my tank setup. The last one I want to show off is the critical setup. It's basically the same as my other setup, but it has, the Deathlord's Veil of Woe, Deathlord's Cloak of Woe. You should be using the Tennyson robe though. Paradox boots. The wand though is the Tormentor's Shredder. It's the pack from Halloween, from the Harrowing Nightmare pack. It's the wand from there. It's the best crit wand in the game pretty much for death and for every other school. So I would definitely open up that pack once it comes back into the Crown Shop pretty soon. Then the Athame, I use the Mercy of Shadow and Light again. You can use one of these with crit socketed instead. It'll give you more crit, which would be really nice. But I don't have a third one, so I'm going to need to get a third one sometime. The amulet I use is Shadow Queen's Grace again. The Ghost Dog's Dire Loop as the ring again. And then the pet, I use a Gloomy Eye pet, which has quad crit and double damage. And yeah, this is just the best for going for max crit on a death, is having quad crit. And this is, it's close to being a 2.0. Not really. So it's just a 10 dealer and as high of stats as I could get. Then the Balance Sculpture again and another rat deck. So yeah. If you go and look at the stats here, it's 108 damage, kind of low, but you're going for crit here. 35% resist across the board, 26 accuracy, 99% crit chance, and your block is irrelevant, doesn't really matter, 1%, and armor piercing 18%, 18% incoming, 21% outgoing, pip conversion 5%, 94% power pip, 7% shadow pip bonus. What I was thinking of too is if you really want to get your crit to 100% with something similar, is you can throw on these Pandemonium boots. You get them from the Pandemonium pack, and then you'll have 100% crit. You do lose out on some resist and some power pip, but you will have 100% crit. I wouldn't do that though. I would still keep with the Deathly Paradox boots and just sock it in a crit one instead of a crit jewel instead of a pierce jewel. So that's wrapped up the video pretty much. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments section below, and I will see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this helped you out, and goodbye.